Hey, it's me again, and it's you again. And I'm so glad you're here because, again, I feel like that shows that you're serious and committed. I hope that you're serious and committed because the reality here is that it's changed. The game has changed, right? You can't just throw up a few social media posts and grab clients anymore. It's just not how it works. Quite frankly, anyone who tells you differently is trying to sell you a bridge over flat land. So, listen. I just want to quickly cover what I've learned from the trenches, from my own practice and my own work and running groups for myself and other people, the things that really work to keep retention. And what retention means is keep your clients coming back and paying. And so retention might be more so for those of you that offer some sort of a monthly fee for whatever it is you teach people. So what we want to focus on here is retention and revenue. And I'm going to give you, it's actually pretty simple, but like with everything else that's simple, for some reason, it's just not easy. So before I get into it, let me give you my sort of now standard disclaimer. And it is so simple. If you don't put in the work and you don't show up on a daily basis, you'll never have a 5-figure group, much less a 6-figure group, much less a 7-figure group. I'm telling you guys, showing up is 90% of the game. You show up with consistency and you can learn and figure and evolve and adapt and iterate and improvise, all of these great things. But if you just don't show up because whatever, the little stories in your head, then you can't blame anyone. You can't expect anything, okay? Life goes to those who show up. All right, fantastic. Now that I'm convinced that I've convinced you to show up, let's get into it. And so for retention, there are some obvious things like if you have a monthly service or you offer payment programs, you want to incentivize people to pay upfront. Or let's say you have a membership, offer relevant and significant discounts for quarterly, biannually, and annual subscriptions. Not everyone's going to take you up on these. So if your mind goes, yeah, but I want the revenue coming in monthly, relax. You don't have to worry about that. This is just going to give those who would have who are ready to commit deeper an opportunity to do so, right? Does that make sense? You never get everyone, not in a million years, not unless you live in fantasy land. So first thing, offer relevant and significant incentives. And this is like cheaper per month price or something for those who are willing to commit to 90 days, 120 days, 180 days, or 365 days all at once. Let's say whatever you sell is $200 a month, right? And so 90 days, that would be $600. Try selling that for $525 or $500 even. And then you get out to the 6 month, right? Now they're paying 6 months at a time. Try selling it for $997. You see where I'm going with this? Make it worth their while to pay for larger commitments at a time. It's that simple. Now, let's talk a little bit about a retention secret that no one talks about. And this might even be so surprising and counterintuitive that you'll be shocked. I don't know. We'll see. Don't overpromise. I can't stress this enough. In other trainings in this program, you've heard me talk about setting expectations correctly. You can't overstate the importance of setting expectations correctly, but then you also can't overstate the importance of, wait for it, meeting those expectations. Now, you've probably noticed that I have a tendency in my attempts to motivate you and get you excited to sort of talk about what'll happen if you're not on the ball, if you don't have integrity, all those things. I sort of like to give you the horror stories so you can avoid them. And if you overpromise, you almost guaranteed will underdeliver based on the promise, right? And so some of the most common mistakes that people make are thinking that their service, their program, their consulting, whatever it is you sell, that you have to stack all of this ridiculous value on it. When in fact, the reality of that is you're not thinking from the mind of your prospect. What your prospect wants is the answer, the solution to a problem. That's what they want from you. They've got a problem. They're considering having you help them fix it. And so that's what they're looking for from you. They're not looking for a 58 module program that promises 7 different things, and it's too confusing. It's overwhelming. We have something like 17,000 marketing messages hitting us every single day. And so you don't want to get caught up in that. You want to be clear, simple, easy to understand. You want your promise to be what I would call clean and well lit, right? It's an easy hallway to walk down, not a confusing maze or labyrinth of, sub promises over here, blah, blah, blah. So listen, one of the best ways to increase retention is to be clear on what you deliver, to articulate it as well as you can. And again, in the most clean and well-lit way possible. And to avoid that urge within us to overpromise. Because what we think is that promising more and more and more is going to get people to say yes. But what it often does is it just overwhelms people. It renders them unable to make decisions. So if you have, for example, a weight loss offer, don't get too crazy with it. If your guarantee is 10 pounds in 2 months, stick with that. Let your personality, let the clarity of your content, let your expertise do the heavy lifting. Don't make wild promises. Just don't do it. Okay. So retention and revenue for your community. And by the way, these work hand in hand. If you make a clear promise to someone and you deliver on that promise, or let's say you decide to over deliver on the promise, that's fine. Just don't get too crazy. If your promise is 10 pounds in 2 months and you can get them to 12 pounds in 2 months, that's great. But if your promise is 10 pounds in 2 months, don't shoot for 20 pounds in 2 months. I'm sure you take my meaning here. So, retention is all about meeting what you say you'll do. Like, I can't stress enough how important being true to your word is in this environment. And so I promised you here that we'd also talk about revenue. And here's how the revenue piece plays into the retention piece. If people have their expectations calibrated, set correctly, and then you meet and exceed those expectations, guess what they are going to be more willing to do? They're going to be more willing to take you up on the next thing you offer them. So in most cases, most offers are structured in, there's an entry-level offer and there's an upsell and maybe 2 upsells. No problem there at all. But if you miss it on the entry-level offer, no one in the world is going to take you up on the next thing. You're just swimming upstream, right? You have to have like ultra heavy-handed copy and promises do the heavy lifting for you, when instead you could have just did what you said you'd do, right? And so it's far easier and far cheaper to get someone who's already entrusted you with their money a good result and then offer them the next thing that makes sense than it is to go and find new clients over and over again. Now, that having been said, for a community to work, you do need a steady influx of people coming in. But once those people come in and you get the, 1 out of however many that become clients, just be sure you treat them like what they are. They're a human being who has entrusted you to solve their problem. If you solve it for them, you will find that the number who will accept your next offer will, in many cases, double. And that's basically found money if you think about it, because you don't have to spend anything extra to get that client. I hope that makes sense. So just to recap, so retention and revenue secrets, maximizing revenue and retention, is really about being clear that you're doing what you say you'll do, and that what you say you'll do is a match for what they need. And it's about avoiding overhyped promises that you can't fulfill on. And then it's about giving people meaningful incentives to commit to longer term work with you. Got it? I know you do. Okay, good. That's it for this video. You now, if you put this into practice, will have an advantage for retention and revenue maximization. All right. See you in the next one.